Good afternoon. My name is Rudy Berkelhammer. I'm the Associate Dean of the Division of Undergraduate Education. And on behalf of the Division of Undergraduate Education, along with the Senate Council on Student Experience and the Teaching Technology and Learning Center, I got that all wrong. TLTC, figure out the words in whatever order you think they should go. It changes names frequently. We're all your hosts for this afternoon, and we're just delighted that so many of you were able to be here with us today. So as you may know, or you may not know, this is actually the 20th of our annual celebrations of teaching. And if you look around at the green color, I'm told by our hostess, Dr. Dee Gallo, that green is the color for 20th anniversaries. So she and I have tried to match the decor. Anyhow, our first celebration of teaching was in 1994, and at that time, some of you may remember, you were probably there with us, it was a small get-together at the University Club, and the certificates of appreciation were printed off on what used to be called a dot matrix printer. Some of you are too young to know about dot matrix printers, but some of us remember them. But since then, it's become somewhat of a formal celebration, but hopefully a very relaxed one, where many UCI faculty, teaching assistants, and others who are so devoted to the art and craft and scholarship of teaching are able to come together and celebrate each other's accomplishments. Some of us, like myself, have experience teaching in classes where there are 400 students in them. Others have the opportunity to teach in smaller classes, but whether it's a large or a small class, our teaching efforts and their impact are generally not made public. They're usually limited to the classroom and those student evaluations we get. We feel that those evaluations really only tell a small part of the story. And while they might be gratifying, or maybe not, depending on what they happen to say, and let me just say, when you get 400 of them, or even 200 of the 400, they're not all gratifying. But rarely do we have opportunities like we might have on a campus like this for research to be able to acknowledge teaching efforts. With research, you can get grants if you're lucky these days. You can certainly publish. You can go to conferences, and there's lots of venues where your research is celebrated and where you get to exchange that kind of accolade about and pat each other on the back and so on. But we don't get to do that enough for teaching. So we're just really thrilled about that. But I would like to add that I really think the trend is changing nationally, and that I think that the scholarship and recognition of the importance of teaching at all kinds of institutions, including institutions like UCI, R1 institutions, has really grown. And on our campus, I'm really proud to say that we have a really strong growing cadre of practitioners, researchers, and grants in the area of the scholarship of teaching and learning. And the most obvious recent recognition of that is our new School of Education. I'm looking here at Dean Van Dell and delighted that we have a School of Education. Okay, so the celebration of teaching began as a way to make your teaching more visible to your colleagues and others, and to recognize the pride that you as instructors show in it, the dedication and responsibility of your teaching that so many of UCI's instructors have. Dr. Gallo tells me that she actually began this event partly because she got such a great response when she would just send thank you notes to people that she heard were great teachers. And I have to say, having been the recipient of a big glass thank you note that she gave me prior to the beginning, it looks a little bit like these spiffy ones you get here now, that it really meant a lot to me. And I still have that glass thank you note sitting on my bookshelf, and it's one of my most prized possessions. And I didn't get an event like this. I got a lunch at the U Club with Dee and two others of our friends, I think. But, hey, it was, to be recognized like that was really, really special. And I'm just thrilled that we've been able to turn that into a campus-wide recognition and be able to celebrate all of our faculty that each year, a group of faculty, and through the years, many, many faculty. I also like to comment that teaching, we sometimes think teaching is a skill that you automatically kind of accrue through because you've been smart and you've been taking a lot of classes and you've gotten a lot of education, and that you can just figure it out through trial and error. But there's really a lot of research and increasing research here on campus to show that while that may help, and it certainly gives you the content that you need, that there's a lot more to it than that, and that there's a lot of things that we can be doing. And today's awardees and the awardees through the years are excellent demonstrations of that. So I'd also like to mention to you that annually, we have 5 competitive awards we're going to be giving today, in addition to honoring an honoree from each of the schools. And for these 5 competitive awards, we annually get about 100 applications, so it's a pretty competitive process. And it's not a popularity contest. It's not based on teaching evaluations. It's actually, the selection criteria include that people have to provide indirect and direct evidence that this person has been an effective teacher, number of students they impacted, and it really makes a difference if a broad group of people nominate somebody. So if it's not just their colleagues or their dean, but also the graduate students that may TA for them, and the undergraduates, even more importantly, that are impacted by them. So it's particularly honorific and a comment on your accomplishments to even be nominated for this award. And the nominees this year were extraordinarily impressive. And whether the individual was ultimately selected to receive the award or not, that we appreciate all of the nominations that people have submitted and wish we could honor more people. But today you're going to have a chance to hear about some of the people that we thought were absolutely the most amazing based on the nominations we got for them. And I want to give some credit to the Senate Council on Student Experience for reading through those 100 nominations and rating them all. So it's been a team effort, and we're just thrilled to have you here today and to be able to honor people. So what we're going to do is go through the awards in an order that is unbeknown to anybody except Dee and me now, because I'm reading it off of this sheet. So hopefully you won't be too surprised, since you all know who's getting awarded. There's an element of surprise in what order you get your award in. So our first, and when I read off the name of the person that's going to be giving the award, I'm going to also read off the name of the person who's getting it, because we'd like them to be up here as well. So if Dean Val Janess from the School of Social Ecology would come up to give the award to Professor Doug Houston. Houston, I'll let her say it correctly.
Houston. Confession, I didn't know the order because I went last year. Dee let me go first this year, so thank you, Dee. I will come back next year. So Doug Houston, Assistant Professor of Planning, Policy, and Design, is the School of Social Ecology's honoree for excellence in undergraduate teaching. Now, since joining the faculty in the Department of Planning, Policy, and Design in 2009, Professor Houston has taught courses in urban and regional planning, and he's consistently earned high evaluations from his students, and the qualitative part of his evaluations make it very easy to mark him as a scholar teacher and a student mentor. His quantitative ratings are consistently high, and he really revels in producing students that speak endlessly about the personalized touch that he brings to his teaching. In addition, they talk about how well prepared his lectures are, how engaging his style is, his passion, and however he does it, he emits a concern for students in a one-on-one way. It's also clear from his approach to teaching that he effectively helps them develop critical thinking skills, and he does this consistently across a range of type of students. For all of these reasons then, in a very short period of time, remember he only came in 2009, he's become known by students and colleagues alike as not only a popular, but an effective classroom teacher who infuses a high degree of subject matter knowledge with enthusiasm, accessibility, and the ability to convey that what we do here makes a difference and it matters. For this reason, last year, I asked him to take the lead in developing what is a new initiative for us. It's an advanced field study class offered for the first time in our 40-plus year history. Some of you know that field study in the School of Social Ecology is a signature course. All of our graduates, undergraduates, have to take it to earn a degree, and they have to engage in community service, civic engagement, and experiential learning. We decided to amplify this commitment by producing a 3-quarter sequence that would allow students to do this for a longer period of time with deeper engagement and enhanced education. Doug was my first choice to take this task on, and here's the amazing thing from a dean's point of view. When I called him in and said, "Hey Doug, I need you, would you?" he looked at me and said, "Yes." Now, be clear, he tried to gouge me for resources. It's not that that didn't happen. But he was immediately enthusiastic, and all of us that were committed to this initiative, when we put it in his hands, we expressed considerable confidence in his ability to launch this new course, which is a public signature effort for us, and to ensure its success, and to make sure that the students had as good an experience as we could possibly imagine. He did just that. By all accounts, it's been a raving success, and I wanted to honor him today as not only a day in, day out, good and effective and memorable teacher, but as someone who went above and beyond the call to take on a new course, a labor-intensive course, a 3-quarter course, and do it with enthusiasm, intelligence, and commitment. The students that I've talked with mark it as one of the most memorable experiences in their career. Now, Dee swears if I go beyond 1 minute, she'll stop me, and Deborah said, "I know you're going 3 minutes, but I'm only going to go 4. I just want to say this year, he exemplified what I call a Herculean effort to lift the project of education at UCI in the School of Social Ecology. And he did it in a way that I appreciate. He constantly thanked his teammates along the way. That would be Victor Becerra, the Director of Community Outreach Partnership, as well as Ashley Vikander, our Director of Field Study. He oriented to this as a collaborative and a group effort. We then, the students, the university, and the community are all better off in significant ways because of Professor Houston's leadership on this important pedagogic initiative and his many contributions day in, day out to undergraduate teaching and mentoring. For all of these reasons, then, it really is a pleasure to honor Professor Doug Houston from the Department of Planning, Policy, and Design.
Okay, next I would like to invite up Professor Abraham Lee from the School of Engineering to give the award to Professor Bernard Choi from Biomedical Engineering.
All right, now that's, engineering you have to be short, so I'm going to try my best. So Professor Bernard Choi specializes in techniques to light up blood vessels in order to detect diseases and have different applications in medicine. And so I think what's most special about him is the ability to also enlighten the young minds and vessels of the young minds of our biomedical engineering students so that they can achieve their best. And he's constantly received high marks in his classes by inspiring them, by giving them topics ahead of time, well prepared. He's also our undergraduate advisor. He has set up a tremendous curriculum. He listens to industry, the sponsors of industry, and continues to improve our curriculum. He teaches a large class, which is very, very difficult because it spans between medicine, biology, and engineering and biological transport phenomena. And in that class, all the comments we get are continuously saying that he still cares about the students, he cares about how they learn, he cares about how much they learn, and he keeps on following up. And he's very fair. So I think that's a good engineer, that's a good biomedical engineer, and that's why he deserves this honor.
Okay, the next dean that I'd like to call up is Dean Al Bennett from the School of Biological Sciences, who's going to present an award to Professor Lawrence Cahill of Neurobiology and Behavior.
Thanks, honey. Larry, why don't you come over here?
Called you honey?
Larry is a professor of neurobiology and behavior in the School of Biological Sciences, and he's one of our own students getting his PhD from the school in 1990. He has one of the largest teaching assignments within the School of Biological Sciences, sometimes going up to 100 contact hours per year. He's firmly committed to his teaching in addition to his excellence in running a research laboratory. His own research interests are in the neural mechanisms that underlie emotionally influenced behavior and gender differences within the brain. Over the last 3 years, Larry's student evaluations have been consistently excellent. His teaching efforts are highly praised by the students, and he has, in addition, been recognized as the outstanding professor of the School of Biological Sciences already twice. Students appreciate Larry's, from student comments, Larry's enthusiasm, his knowledge, his organization, his clarity, his sense of humor, and his ability to keep them engaged. His classes are demanding, yet rewarding, and our students value this combination. We're very proud to recognize him today. Congratulations, Larry.
Okay, our next honoree will be from Public Health. If Professor Professor Ogunsighton, Deli Ogunsighton, I won't try his full name, will please present the award to Professor Cynthia Lakon.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Dr. Cynthia Lakon teaches in the Social and Behavioral Sciences subject area of public health. Her expertise is in the ecological models of health behavior, social networks, and high-risk youth populations. Needless to say, these topics are very exciting and they generate a lot of high-level interest among the current undergraduate students, especially as the enrollment in public health grew dramatically. As a member of the campus-wide Civic and Community Engagement Committee and the Public Health Curriculum Committee, she's worked very hard to raise the rigor and salience and acclaim of our accredited program in the bachelor's degrees. Since she joined UCI's program in public health, she's enjoyed the distinction of being the most appreciated professor in our program. And that means a constant demand on her time, particularly among the senior students who are ready to pursue a career in public health. They are all required to take a practicum course, and the Bachelor's of Arts in Public Health Policy students are required to take a course in health behavior theory. This often throws them a little bit because theoretical frameworks in public health are important, but they constantly struggle with the linkage between theory and practice. And one of the constant comments in evaluations we received for Cynthia is that she makes this sound so easy, so relevant, and so important to address most of the public health problems in today's world. Her wisdom and generosity is not lost on appreciative students, as one of them wrote. She provides excellent examples to demonstrate how theory concept may be applied. She gives the class opportunities to ask questions and discuss the material to facilitate better learning. She also remembers students' names. That's very key, which shows that she really does put in the time to get to know her students. She's one of the nicest professors I've met on the UCI campus, and our enthusiasm for the material is appreciated. We all appreciate you, Cynthia, and we thank you for all the work that you do. Please help me congratulate you.
Okay, next I'd like to call up Dean Barbara Doscher from the School of Social Sciences to present the award to Katie Bosendahl from the Department of Sociology.
running from the back. The School of Social Sciences is so pleased to recognize Professor Catherine Katie Bolsendahl for this year's Teaching Excellence Award. Katie joined the sociology faculty here in the fall of 2006, and she has a very strong published scholarship record in the intersection of political sociology and the sociology of gender. And she frames gender as one of the fundamental bases of inequality and also a source of societal change. She's a co-author of a multi-award winning book, and interestingly, one of her recent articles explores the link between legislators' public school degrees and spending on public higher education. Bolsendahl has really very effectively brought all of these same issues to the classroom in a whole variety of courses, such as the sociology of gender, political sociology, and gender and family and the welfare state. She also teaches a graduate course on women in the legislature, and also teaches courses in statistical methods, so a pinch hitter all around. In addition to recognizing her here on the Irvine campus, several of her materials are among the top downloaded resources for 2010-11 for the American Sociological Association Teaching Resource and Innovations Library. So that's a recognition of the materials that she's developed outside of UCI. Her talents as an instructor and growing reputation have grown her upper division course, usually rather small, to be more than 200 in the sociology of gender. And students praise her for her ability to communicate and her organization of her courses and the way that those courses match the objectives as well. So I'd just like to end by saying she's been a tremendous addition to our school. She's really helped to enhance the breadth and the quality of our undergraduate curriculum and has done so for a very, very large number of students. So it's my very great pleasure to recognize Katie Bolsendahl. Katie, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to now call up Chris O'Neill from the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Center, I think I got it right that time, to give a tribute to the Pedagogical Fellows.
Thank you. Good evening. As already said, my name is Chris O'Neill. I'm the Associate Director at the Teaching, Learning, and Technology Center. And it's been my pleasure and honor to work with a group of amazing Pedagogical Fellows for the last year. They're an outstanding group of graduate students, scholars, teachers, and university servants, and just an all-around great group of people to work with. The Pedagogical Fellows Program, if you haven't heard of it, is a Preparing Future Faculty program. It is also a competitive program. The program offers UCI grad students training in advanced college teaching, exposures to issues in higher education, faculty work-life balance, and job placement skills. Graduates of the program have a high percentage of job placement success, and they find their first years as faculty far less painful than it sometimes can be. While the PFs, as we typically call them, benefit a great deal from the program, they give just as much back to the campus community. Many of you are already aware that the PFs plan and lead the TA training for most of the departments on campus each fall. This is a tremendous undertaking. It means that in addition to balancing the load of a typical graduate student, PFs must develop a 15-hour training experience that will likely be the only teacher training that most of their audience will receive for the entirety of their academic careers. This training is important. It impacts many. Over 400 TAs are trained each year by the PFs, and each of these may go on to teach thousands of students over the course of their careers. It also impacts deeply, and as one TA wrote about their TA training experience, the Pedagogical Fellows set a very high standard for us to meet. I will remember the example set throughout my career as a TA, and we hope, of course, beyond. Not all of the PFs could make it today. However, I would like to read off all of their names and ask those present to stand as their name is read. PFs, please remain standing until the names are read out, and I'll ask the audience to hold their applause until everyone has been mentioned. From Social Ecology, Victoria Lowerson and Nicole Matthews. From the Humanities, Ali Megdadi, Kristen Keating, and Phil Walsh. From ICS, Eric Hennigan. From the Social Sciences, Danny Mann, Patrick Button, Edelina Berciaga, and Sierra Powell. From Engineering, Wei Wei Chen. From the physical sciences, May May, Elizabeth Swift, and Alex Wagner. Please join me in thanking this outstanding group.
Okay, going back to the school honorees, I'd like to invite up the newest dean in our group, the dean from the School of Humanities, Georges Vanden Abely, I hope I pronounced that correctly, to recognize Professor Rebecca Davis of the English department.
Thank you, everybody. It is an extraordinary honor for the School of Humanities to be honoring Rebecca Davis, who has extraordinary merit as an assistant professor, one of our top teachers in the English department, which is one of our very top departments at UCI. He has numerical evaluations that are simply stunning in the 6.9 zone out of 7 points. I mean, I don't think you can do much. I guess there's always room for improvement, but in this case, not very much. So, but numbers are not the whole story. What I'd like to really focus on is a couple things, is that she teaches medieval literature primarily. This is a subject matter which is not easy to the average undergraduate today. It's very foreign, it's a very different culture, it requires a different sensibility and learning from things from all new perspectives. And she does this with amazing ability and success. And that is a really top challenge to be able to do that. She has been recommended by no fewer than 4 of her colleagues and a number of students and graduate students. And I'd like to maybe just, and I think the best honor is some of the comments that students have to say about her. For example, in a class she teaches called Medieval Road Trips, students respond, it was almost like a foreign language, but she gave me the confidence to give it a try. Another student, the material was very challenging, but she always did a good job explaining everything and making sure everyone understood the text. Another, she genuinely wants her students to succeed. And she's designed her courses so that the knowledge which is indubitably gained there translates beyond the classroom, because I think that's one of the key elements of humanistic education is the ability to take those skills and apply them in other ways. So we have students who actually corroborate that and saying that her organization makes learning very complicated material a lot easier to understand so that the papers I've written in other classes have improved. I think that's an amazing testimony. And finally, I think this is the one that always warms the heart of someone who is teaching a particular subject matter, a student who writes, I can honestly say that I fell in love with medieval literature and would read it outside of class. That's what we want. That is fantastic. So, no surprise, I just want to mention that Professor Davis has created a whole set of converts to her subject area. She's helped one student now teaching English on a Fulbright grant in Spain, and that student won several undergraduate awards in the school before the Fulbright. She has tutored another student in Old English who's now pursuing a master's at King's College, London. Another PhD student currently at Princeton. I mean, these are our undergraduates that are being taken to higher levels. Another student at UC Riverside. One has gone to study University of New Mexico. In addition, about a half dozen honors theses, and she is always a presence at honors convocations. And we are just terribly excited to honor you. Thank you and congratulations.
If Dean Hal Stern from the Donald Bren School of Information and Computer Sciences, I've just got an acronym here, so I have to remember what that all means, would please come up to present the award to Don Patterson from Informatics.
Thanks, Rudy. That was well done. It's not so easy from the acronym. On behalf of the Brent School of Information and Computer Sciences, I'm delighted to honor Professor Don Patterson, Associate Professor in the Department of Informatics, with this year's School Celebration of Teaching Award. Professor Patterson and the Department of Informatics both study basically how technology is used. So there's kind of the human and the technology together, and it really comes across in his classes. The easiest way to talk about Don's teaching is really listen to his students, and I'll come to some of their explicit remarks in a second, but the one word that comes over and over, and his colleagues as well in his academic evaluations, is a passionate and dedicated teacher. And it comes across in a lot of different ways. The students recognize that he cares about their learning, and one of the ways he does this is an idea that I guess I first heard about called the 1-minute quiz. Not really a quiz. At the end of every class, the students are asked and required to turn in an index card with a question or a comment. And that becomes a dialogue. That becomes a dialogue between the professor and the class. That as you go between the next class, you know where they're confused, or you know they like this or they don't like that, and it really presents a nice seamless way to do that, and the students really like that. They're also very enthusiastic about his courses, and I think this is true again at some level for the whole department, because it's about how technology is used and can be used better. So they feel they're getting really practical information about how to design websites and other technology. As I said, I think the best way to really learn about it is from what the students say. And as I think everyone in the room knows, student evaluations have their limitations. There are a lot of studies that point out limitations. But as George just pointed out, when the numbers are really high, they generally don't lie. Don has numbers that I haven't seen before. We have a 9-point scale, so they're even higher than limits. But in each of the undergraduate courses he's taught over the last few years, 8.8 or higher, every course, every time, and it just blows me away. And I don't get, and this will surprise some people, I'm a numbers person, but I don't get too bogged down in the numbers on the teaching evaluations. I love to read, there are 3 sections. One is what are the strengths of the instructor, and when I don't have time I actually skip that because that's boring, that's all good stuff. I love to read, what are the weaknesses, what can they do better, and then how can they improve. And in Don's case, I'll just talk about the last one. When you say, how can he improve? A majority of the students said he can't. That's what they chose to write there. And one student gave the best answer, which I'm going to close with, which they said, how can you be more awesome than awesome? So with that said, I'd like to congratulate Professor Patterson.
Okay, our next honoree will be from the School of Business. If Associate Dean Imran Kurim can present the award to Professor Lucille Forel from the Department of Accounting.
Thank you, Rudy. Well, this is Professor Lucille Farrell. She's an assistant professor of accounting at the Paul Murad School of Business. And Lucille, we are so, so proud of you. You have no idea how proud we are of you. It's important for me to note that accounting is not one of the favorite subjects being taught at the business school. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that from personal experience. When I went through my MBA program, accounting is still a nightmare to me today when I think about it. So accounting is tough. It's one thing to teach strategy. It's another thing to teach marketing. It's yet another thing to teach accounting. So I don't know, but about 2 months ago or something like that, we received a request to come up with this nomination, and so I got a call from Andy Policano, our dean, and he says, Imran, why don't you look into this? And look at the data, and all right. So what I did is I started out with the undergraduate program, because that's what I'm the associate dean of the undergraduate program. And about 5 years ago, when I started being the associate dean of the business school, I had asked them to develop a database, because like Hal, I'm a numbers guy, okay? And so we have a database. It's all on a beautiful Excel spreadsheet. And so I clicked for the last year and started with the undergraduate program. And I have quite a few courses, an instructor, Lucille Farrell. My God, up there, in terms of the numbers, in terms of the instructor and the course, just those two numbers, okay? No comments or anything. And then, of course, so I just highlight a few rows, and then, of course, I go into the comments. And what can I tell you? I mean, I wish I had the actual comments in front of me, but my file is lying in my car. But I can tell you, the adjectives, not just one adjective at a time, but combinations of adjectives. And I remember reading through them and saying, wow, wow, wow. And then, of course, we went to the master's courses, okay? Ditto. Ditto, ditto, ditto. And then, of course, I should also point out that Lucille is one of those people whose articles are also appearing in the top tier journals in accounting. And that is by no means, that's no easy task. The combination of those three things, Lucille, just makes me say three things: wow, wow, and wow. Thank you very much.
So our next award is a little bit of a change of pace, and this is one of our competitive awards where people had to be nominated for it. This is the Most Promising Future Faculty Fellowships. And I'm going to invite Dean Francis Leslie to share with you a little bit about the awards and the awardees, who are Amanda Jancic from Developmental and Cell Biology and Jed Brubaker from Information and Computer Sciences. If they're here, if they could come up, that would be great.
As Rudy said, this is one of the competitive awards, and it's not an easy one to get. First of all, we have many excellent applicants every year for this award, and it's not just teaching that is considered. Since this is an award for the most promising future faculty member, the evaluators are looking at graduate students who are outstanding in all three areas of faculty expectations: teaching, research, and service. And so I'm very, very pleased to introduce the two awardees, both of whom I think have done outstanding work in these three areas. First, I'd like to introduce Jed Brubaker from Donald Bren School of Information and Computer Sciences. And Jed's passion for teaching is evident in many ways. He's worked obviously as a teaching assistant and has gotten excellent evaluations. And he took primary responsibility for the major writing assignment in one of the informatics courses. What struck me when I read his file was that he's also given guest lectures in many courses. And these were called Dynamic, Engaging, and Extraordinarily Popular. He has a way of presenting highly theoretical material in a manner that is engaging for undergraduate students. He's a natural lecturer, and he can hold the attention of more than 100 students at a time. So he's obviously on good grounds for being a faculty member. His dissertation research focuses on an area of increasing importance, and that's understanding the role of user death in online communities and vice versa. Although others have also explored the general area of death and information technologies, Jed is engaged in this work at a level and depth and insight that has been transformative, both within the research community and for the general public. In particular, he has inspired a wide variety of research and design projects focused on the impact of encountering information about people's deaths through online social networking sites. I hadn't thought about it before, but if you're browsing Facebook at lunch one day and you're at work and you realize that one of your friends has passed away, that can be a very unsettling experience. And so these are important things to study. His work is highly regarded. He's already received 3 Best Paper nominations, which is nearly unheard of for someone at his career stage. Jed's service is an indicator of his passion for academic life. Inside UCI, he has served as president of his department's Graduate Student Association and is currently serving on the Fund Development Committee for the department, which is a role that's usually set aside, reserved only for faculty. Outside UCI, he is also well respected, and he's been a reviewer for all the major venues in his research community and has assisted at 3 research conferences. Faculty colleagues of the nominators, basically from all around the country, have said that he is dependable and a pleasure to work with. So, excellent work. Congratulations. And Amanda Jenisic from the School of Biological Sciences. She has received strong evaluations as a teaching assistant. If my memory serves me right, I remember 6.9s out of 7s as well. So, she employs a problem-based learning method which emphasizes teamwork, and her students have regularly praised her clarity, accessibility, and willingness to help them. She also has taught experimental techniques to undergraduate students in a research lab setting, and her efforts have paid off handsomely, as in 2011, 2 of her 199 research students achieved recognition for excellence in research, with one being selected as a finalist poster presenter and among the best in her Department of Developmental and Cell Biology. Amanda works on retinoic acid signaling in early vertebrate development and uses FROG as model system. In case you wonder why this would be important, this is important for understanding birth defects, basically. Her published work has demonstrated that retinoic acid regulates the formation of sensory structures such as ear, eye, and neurons. And she's also documented the mechanism underlying the decision process by which neurons decide whether or not they're going to continue dividing or whether they're going to differentiate and become neurons. She's published 4 peer-reviewed research articles in high-profile journals, 2 of them as first author, and she's co-authored 8 review papers, 6 of which she was first author. Such a high level of publication is quite extraordinary for a graduate student, and it's evidence that her research activity is at the forefront of developmental biology. Amanda has also been an enthusiastic participant in department events and has been extensively involved in various scientific outreach and community service activities. She's helped to organize both a departmental retreat and a research conference. And for the entire summer of 2010, she assisted a teacher and 4 students from Laguna Beach High School in their work as National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences Summer Research Fellows. It was listed as an acronym. I had to figure it out for myself. This project provided valuable practical laboratory experience for the students that complemented the work they had done the previous academic year, examining use of a new type of catalyst for remediation of dangerous chemicals during water treatment. I think that you can agree with me and with the reviewers that the future is in good hands with Amanda and Jed. Congratulations.
So as the title of that award suggested, they get some money with not just the glass plaque. So that's a particularly valuable award. And I just also wanted to clarify, when we say that these are competitive awards, it's not to say that the awards within the schools are not competitive. It's to say that these are campus-wide competition and anybody can nominate people for them. But we assume that within the schools, the awards are very competitive, and there's a lot of people that would like to earn them and that would deserve to earn them. And so we're particularly proud of our school honorees as well. And on that note, I'd like to invite Dean Deborah Van Dell from the School of Education to present an award to Professor Anne Marie Conley.
I am pleased to introduce Assistant Professor Anne Marie Conley, who is this year's honoree from the School of Education for her excellence in undergraduate teaching. If you ask people who know Anne Marie to list 3 qualities that describe her, I think that they will say motivation, boundless energy, and commitment to excellence. I think they'll also say we really have to add another quality, because you have to also add to those 3 caring. And so it is for each of those qualities that we were going to be honoring her today. As an educational psychologist who studies the interplay between motivation and learning, Anne Marie brings her research into practice each and every day. She does it with an infectious passion for the subjects that she teaches and with a deep caring for student learning. Anne Marie teaches 2 of our undergraduate courses that are core courses in the minor: Educational Studies for Adolescent Development in Education and Learning and Cognition in Educational Settings. Her students report that she consistently welcomes student input and encourages their participation. Although the courses typically have more than 100 students in them, the students praise her ability to engage them in critical thinking in small groups and in large group discussions, and to encourage them to share diverse opinions. Students also highlight her ability to take core concepts comprehensible with real life examples, sometimes drawing on her own children, I hear. And here to turn to some of the student reports, here's one. Professor Conley is the best teacher I have had at UCI. She does a really great job in engaging her students and making them actively think about the topics at hand. She's phenomenal at generating discussions. I love that everyone gets a chance to voice their feedback or opinion. I'm more interested in going into the teaching field because of Professor Conley, or this student. This professor is beyond amazing. She shows genuine interest in the subject, class, and students. She wants to see her students succeed and learn something new. The subject was extremely interesting to me, but the way she taught it made it even more interesting. In addition to her work in the classroom, we're also recognizing Anne Marie today for her outstanding work as a mentor and advisor to undergraduate students who work in her lab and in schools with her alongside her graduate students. Since her arrival at UCI in 2007, she has supervised 176 undergraduate students in this one-on-one mentoring activities. They report that she is a wonderful mentor who has helped them to learn, to navigate the research process, to work collaboratively with others in her lab and at schools around Orange County, and ultimately to present their work in public conferences. Finally, we're recognizing Anne Marie's influence on the graduate students who serve as teaching assistants in her classes. One of the teaching assistants in her adolescent development class described how inspired she had become by Anne Marie's skills at challenging students to push their thinking in a non-threatening and motivating way. For her success as a teacher and a mentor of undergraduates, and as an exemplary model for future university instructors, it is my great pleasure to recognize Anne Marie Conley, who is most deserving of this award.
So this one probably won't be a surprise because I think we've been through all the schools but one. Our last school honoree will come from the School of Physical Sciences. So if Dean Kenneth Janda could please present the award to Professor Eric Potma of Chemistry. If there's a school we've forgotten, let us know quickly. Oh, we don't have anybody from arts, Steve? No. Oh, we don't have anybody from arts, but thank you. We acknowledge everybody in arts. They couldn't decide.
So I'm presenting the award to Eric Potma. Unfortunately, Eric couldn't be here today. This is the week of the American Chemical Society meeting. And for whatever reason, he chose not to cancel his hotel in New Orleans to come back. So Eric Potma, like many of the winners today, give lie to the adage that many people outside of a research university believe that somehow research is in competition with teaching. Eric has been at UCI for 8 years. A couple of years ago, he passed the bar for tenure so high you couldn't even see it down below. He runs a large and thriving research program in optical microscopy. But what we're honoring him for today is his teaching of mostly freshmen in general chemistry. So Eric has probably, in the 8 years he's been here, already assigned close to 4,000 grades. And the students have reciprocated by assigning him the top teaching evaluations. And that's remarkable, like several of the deans have commented, because these general courses have a very diverse audience, and actually very few of them have their first goal as learning chemistry. But there's more. Not only does he excel at teaching general chemistry, he has designed our current course in what we call preparatory chemistry. That's for people who are not yet ready for general chemistry. So an even tougher crowd. And not only that, using money he obtained from Office of the President, he's designed an animated online course to do that. And even in this animated online course with a large enrollment, he got a teaching evaluation of 3.65 out of 4. So this guy is a clear rock star. But there's more. He also does freshman seminar, which I know the Office of Undergraduate Education appreciates. And for his freshman seminar, he walks students around, mainly campus, to help them understand what the optical effects are when they see things. Why are leaves green? Why is the sun orangish yellow? And things like that. And trying to understand the deep science that underlies simple colors in everyday life. So for this very inspiring dedication to teaching today, but to me it's especially nice that he can do that in the context of a stellar research program. We honor Eric Potma from the Department of Chemistry. Thank you.
So our next award is one of the campus-wide competitions, and this is for Instructional Technology Innovation. And Shorey Bozard-Mary, who is the Director of Academic and Network Applications for the Office of Information Technology, is going to present it to Drs. Sarah Eichhorn and Rachel Lehman from the Math Department. This one includes money, too.
I picked that. It's my favorite. Hi, I'm thrilled to present the 2013 Instructional Technology Innovation Award to Dr. Sarah Eichhorn and Dr. Rachel Lehman from the Department of Mathematics in the School of Physical Sciences. Each year, the Office of Information Technology is pleased to honor outstanding instructors who promote innovation in teaching and learning by using technology in an effective and creative fashion. This year, we are honored that we not only celebrate two highly innovative and distinguished instructors, but that we celebrate their partnership and collaboration in establishment and delivery of uniquely designed and well-taught courses. Dr. Eichhorn and Dr. Lehman are exceptionally talented and enthusiastic mathematics instructors who are very popular with the students. They regularly co-teach pre-calculus Math 1A and 1B and calculus Math 2A and 2B. Oftentimes, their courses fail immediately because students have spread the word about what excellent instructors they are. They have created hundreds of short videos instructing students on various pre-calculus scales. These videos are incredibly clear and concise and are great learning tools for students. To give an example of their creative teaching methods, I would like to know the algebra course, which utilizes assessment and learning in knowledge space, or ALEX. ALEX is a web-based artificial intelligence assessment and learning system with adaptive questioning to determine what a student knows in a course. In this course also uses Scribbler, a multi-user whiteboard tool with live audio, image collaboration, and text chat that has been used to engage students in authentic, high-quality learning experience and interaction. Finally, the course utilizes ProctorU, which allows online proctored exams from anywhere using a webcam and a high-speed internet connection. They have taken their extraordinary course and have moved it online, as well as offering it through Coursera, which is a platform for massively open online courses, or MOOCs, where tens or hundreds of thousands of students are able to take the course simultaneously. Dr. Eichhorn and Dr. Lehman have been pioneers in teaching two Coursera mathematics courses, Intermediate Algebra and Pre-Calculus. Both courses were two of the first 5 MOOCs to be recommended for transferable college credit by the American Council on Education in 2013. The courses taught by Dr. Eichhorn and Dr. Lehman have been written about in LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Chronicle of Higher Education. The Office of Information Technology is pleased to present this award in support of teaching and learning with technology, and please join me in congratulating them both for an honor well deserved. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to invite Vanna over there up to the podium. Dr. Dee Gallo will present the award for TA development and mentoring to Professor Daniel Gross of the English department.
I am very pleased to present the 2012-2013 award for TA professional development and mentoring, and also for commitment to excellence in undergraduate education to Professor Daniel Gross from the English department and the composition program. Those who train TAs take on a special responsibility for the quality of undergraduates in their TA's care. Without adequate TA training, our graduate students are left to fend for themselves, and their undergraduates might suffer the consequences as a result. This does both parties a tremendous disservice. The recipient of this year's award, however, knows full well that the training of graduates can have a profound effect on the quality of undergraduate education. And it's one of the reasons that we also make sure that TAs are honored at this event each year. The composition program in which Professor Gross teaches his pedagogy course has a long history of commitment to TA professional development for teaching. All new TAs must go through this course. It's both in theory, and then they also have weekly meetings, and they participate in a multi-day pre-service training before the beginning of the fall quarter. This alone goes well beyond most obligatory TA training, even at UCI. The regular staff meetings, which are held by the course directors, many of whom have also been recognized at this event over the years, continue throughout the TA's entire career as a TA in composition. and it constantly builds on what they have learned in Professor Gross's course. Now, it's not just the contact hours of mandatory training that matter. It's actually the nature of that training and those contact hours that is so significant, and the results show that it yields a very positive result. Professor Gross has insisted that TAs approach composition pedagogy as part of a scholarship of teaching and learning that should be both respected and practiced. He insists that even TAs who come to UCI with some experience in teaching, and many of those in the composition program actually do, they still have to take this course. And many of them are surprised to discover that there's an entire body of literature in the field of composition studies. Professor Gross engages the TAs in very serious analysis of how best to learn and to teach undergraduates how to write. The theories they explore are then applied to very well-crafted lessons with ample opportunity for serious reflection on how those theories then play out in the classroom and with pen and paper, or as the case may be, computer and printer. The TAs learn that composition is worthy of serious investigation, and many of them actually go on to present papers at national conferences and also to publish. A lot of other fields within English are actually shrinking, but the area of rhetoric and composition is growing. So he's introduced TAs to a profession in which they can not only contribute, but in which they might also thrive. Former graduates of Professor Gross's mentoring have gone on to jobs in this field and have left UCI feeling well prepared, well trained, and very nurtured into the profession. One such nominator who is going to be leaving UCI very soon to take a tenure track position at a research institution wrote the following in his nomination. Professor Gross has helped to organize reading groups within our professional discipline in which both faculty and graduate students engage in discussion about research and pedagogy. He has been instrumental in helping me to secure funding to travel to and to present at several academic conferences. At his invitation, I was able to work with him last year through a pedagogical grant from the UC Office of the President, developing innovative curricula for online and face-to-face writing instruction. I know he has similarly supported other students who have earned tenure track or other jobs in academia during the last few years. I often recommend him to fellow students and say you must work with Dr. Gross if you have a chance, and I recommend him highly for this award. Last, I would like to point out that this is one of those nominations that was evidence-based. Undergraduate student satisfaction levels have been steadily rising since Daniel became the director of composition in 2007. And composition, of course, is one of those other courses that, shall we say, is not high on most students' lists. The campus-wide writing coordinator, Professor Jonathan Alexander, notes that in 2007, program averages were 5.8, where they had remained steady since the program began tracking averages in 2003. But by fall 2012, program averages had risen to 6.2. So I am especially pleased to give this award to Professor Daniel Gross for TA development and professional education. Thank you so much.
So I'm happy to say that I get a chance to give an award, and the award I would like to give is the one for Lecturer of the Year. And I'm delighted to be able to present this award to Dr. Donna Sheely of the Department of Criminology, Law, and Society, who is even now coming up here to join me. So I was one of the people on the Council from Student Experience that got to read files, and for Donna, there were 17 different nominations, which is pretty amazing, considering there were a total of 48 nominations for this award, and they were probably for about 10 different people. So Donna really got the bulk of the nominations, and they were wonderful nominations, and particularly wonderful to me as a lecturer, and I think they will be to Donna as a lecturer when she finds out that they really were from her students. It was a groundswell from her students to nominate her, and many of them are sitting in the back right now to continue to celebrate Donna. So I'm thrilled to share that with her and with you. Some of them are current students, some of them are former students, and some of them are graduate students, along with some colleagues, but the bulk of the nominations came from your students, Donna. And while I said earlier today that it wasn't a popularity contest, when you read these, they didn't say, you know, she's just the nicest person in the world and she gives great grades and I love her. They talked about what an amazing teacher she was and how rigorous her courses are. And a couple of themes that came up over and over again had to do with how much work she gave them, which was pretty amazing. They talked about how much reading she assigned and the careful and close way she taught students to critically analyze cases, as only an attorney can do, and to research articles. In addition, they weren't just assigned writing, but they had to keep writing it over and over again. They had to revise it, they got input from her, they rewrote it, and they had to do it till they got it right. And so what they commented on was how much their writing had improved as a consequence of her efforts and her work with them. And that even though they had no interest in actually majoring in the subject, they felt that the work they had put into the courses had really paid off in their other courses because there were some fundamental skills that she was able to teach them. Another common theme of that was payoff. A number of the writers went on to law school or graduate school, or hadn't yet begun graduate school, but had just heard that they'd been admitted to some kind of postgraduate training, and every one of them gave a lot of credit for their successes to Donna. Some of the alumni that submitted nominations, kind of from the distance perspective, realized not just what it had done for them, but what it took from Donna to do this, how much time she had to put in to do the kind of deep and careful work she was doing with them. They understood that it was not only a lot of time to prepare the class, but she put in a huge amount of time outside of class, grading, meeting with students individually, and that it required a lot of sacrifice of her personal time, not to mention her commute to and from UCI, which is pretty long. She also included guest speakers, current events, held extra review sessions, all things which they knew represented a tremendous commitment on her part, both her time and energy, and above all, her dedication to them. I'd like to quote a few of their comments because they're particularly inspiring. Despite the fact that her lectures are some of the best, it is the things that Dr. Shealy did in addition to all of that that makes her one of the special ones. When holidays and unexpected circumstances interfere and shorten the number of lectures in a quarter, most professors would just shrug it off and not think much about it. But Dr. Shealy, being so dedicated to teaching and making her students better, on multiple occasions has taken time out of her schedule to set up extra lecture time to make sure students get everything they possibly can out of one of her classes. In my time at UCI, she's the only professor I've come across to do that for her students. She's also the only professor I've come across who will stay over an hour after class has ended to answer questions for every student that wanted to ask them and who'd stated to ask them. What they didn't know is she was avoiding rush hour by doing that, right? Okay. Another comment, Dr. Shealy's lectures ignite passion and motivation in her students. Without Dr. Shealy, I may never have been introduced to my passion for the study of law. And further, without Dr. Shealy's guidance, I may never have been admitted to law school. A third one, on a more personal level, Dr. Shealy has inspired me to pursue a career within the legal field, a choice I had never previously considered nor since doubted. Dr. Shealy has been instrumental in demonstrating to me and many others that the study of law is an honorable and fulfilling pursuit worthy of consideration by students from all walks of life. Specifically, Dr. Shealy has shown me that the law can be used to correct the many social injustices that go on in our world every day. In her class on American socio-legal theory, I learned that the law has been used frequently as a force to preserve the status quo and maintain the social stratification that plagues our nation. Only 2 more. Remember, there were a lot more than this that we could have read. But I want to give her students justice and Donna justice. My very first class at the University of California, Irvine was Introduction to Criminology, Law, and Society with Dr. Shealy. It was the most challenging but most rewarding class I took in the School of Social Ecology, and the topics I learned in that class are helping me succeed in law school today. Dr. Shealy's classes and her personal guidance helped me to get where I am today, and to her I am forever grateful. And finally, Dr. Shealy by no means is an easy professor, but her motivation to get through to students to make sure we understand everything is exemplary. I have taken more than 4 classes with her, and honestly, she deserves this award, and it will be depressing if she does not get it. So happily, your students do not need to be depressed, and I'm delighted to present this award to Donna. The last of our campus-wide awards is going to be presented by, let's see, I'm going to pronounce this right, Professor Arvind Rajamara, Rajaraman. Did I do that right? Did I get enough syllables in there? Oh, who's chair of the Council on Student Experience, and he's going to present it to Professor Rebecca Davis of English, whom you've seen before.
So it is a pleasure to be able to honor Rebecca Davis with the award of Professor of the Year. You have seen her up here because she was also the Dean's Honoree in teaching. And so you've heard a lot of what I'm going to say before, but nevertheless, I'm going to go ahead. So Dr. Davis is in the Department of English, and she's receiving the award for her outstanding teaching, among other things. Her teaching evaluations range from 6.7 to 6.9, which is particularly impressive since she teaches medieval literature, which is not exactly something that students have a familiar framework to understand. Her nomination letter points out that she has the gift of making that world fascinating to her students. And the students really give her glowing reviews, and I quote, "It was almost a foreign language to me, but she gave me the confidence to give it a try. She genuinely wants her students to succeed, and as you've heard before, my favorite one, I can honestly say that I fell in love with medieval literature and would read it even outside of class." Her students are impressively successful. Lawrence Salkin has won several undergraduate awards. Kelly Chen, whom she tutored, is now pursuing a master's at King's College. Colette Johnson is now a PhD student at Princeton, and there are many others. She has also supervised a number of honors theses. 2 of them have won UROP awards. In short, she has a passionate commitment to her subject and her students, and she makes humanities learning a truly marvelous thing. And in recognition of her work, it is my pleasure to recognize Dr. Rebecca Davis as the Professor of the Year.
Dee, did you want to make a few comments before I conclude things?
Boy, are we efficient. It's like just barely 6 o'clock. Aren't we good at this? Yes, I would like to thank all of you for being here. It is so nice to see this room filled and to hear all these wonderful stories about all the fabulous teachers here at UCI. And I would like all of them to please gather at the end of the festivities up here at the podium so that we can take some photographs of you. Stills of these photographs, as well as the video that we've been making in the back. By the way, you're all going to be up on the website and probably up on YouTube, so if you've got an objection, let us know. And for those who couldn't make it, maybe you have family and friends who weren't able to join you today, they will have an opportunity to see the event. This should probably be posted in a week or two. Or Ian, can I say tomorrow? No, okay, never mind, okay. And just in case you're planning your calendars for next year, we have a tentative date for next year, which is April 24th, 2014. Same time, same location. We hope that you will be here. Before I step away from the podium, I do want to make sure that I thank the TLTC staff who both literally and figuratively help put this together every year. First of all, we do have Mr. Ian Granger, our Senior Producer Director. In the yay. Next to him doing photography, the gig for photography is William Alvarez, who is also a Producer Director. In the back, we have two of our students, Bayon and also Victor. Please say hello to them. And is Elise in the room? The nice young lady who was helping you check in, Elise, is also one of our students. And I would like to thank our Associate Director, Dr. Christopher O'Neill, right over there as well. And now I'm going to turn it back to Rudy, but before I do, I need to mention something that's very important, and that is, since 1994, and maybe even before, but I'm pretty sure from 1994, one of the traditions has always been the Costco cake. So you must eat the Costco cake. It is a tradition, and it's at the back with the drink. So we hope to see you again next year.
So because she's too modest, she didn't ask you to thank her. So would you please join me in thanking Dee Gallo. I want you to know that Dee not only decides on the theme and does all the centerpieces and organizes everything, but she totally orchestrates all of the campus-wide nominations. And while as a member of the Council on Student Experience, I read all the files for the lecturer award, she read all the files for every award. So she's kind of the normalizing factor across awards that way. As normal as I can be. Yeah, she tries to be normal. If you want to come next year and be part of the party by joining the color theme, pay attention to your invitation. It will give you a clue about the color theme. Finally, in addition to thanking all of you for coming, I want to recognize not only this year's awardees, but all of the past awardees. You may have noticed the montage at the beginning, which included some photos of people who weren't awarded today. They have been awarded in the past, and many of them are here today. So if I could have everybody who's here today that either was awarded today or at any time in the past stand up so we can give them one final round of applause. That would be great. Don't be shy. We don't want too many people sitting down. Thank you again, and eat cake.